Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Talking That Talk Official Podcast where we are uncomfortable conversations. I am your host, Juice, aka The Ordinary Brother.
What up, world? What's good? I go by the name of King Exodus. We appreciate your time. Thank you for tapping in. Make sure you tune into the YouTube channel, Talking and Talk Official Podcast. Right. So tonight's episode, before we get into it, a couple of quick topics live at 5. All right. So first on the list, we're gonna have a little exposure talk. Just things that happened in 2025 that caught our vision, that caught our eye. Tyler Perry on chopping block. Yeah. Uh, so apparently Tyler Perry is involved in a civil suit for uh, sexual assault type of thing with a male, with a guy, an employee of his, and it's kind of interesting. I've been watching. Well, not watching. I'm not a big Tyler Perry fan. Nothing really against him. Just not my cup of tea all the way. But I do have my favorites. Why Did I Get Married? 1 and 2. What's that? Daddy's Little Girl. It's a couple of ones in there. That Byron. You know what I'm saying? Some of that shit funny. The Halloween shit is funny. I got my picks. But anyway, um, the guy has always. I've noticed that in the hip hop culture for sure, and a lot of black men have always said they've had their speculations about him not being a heterosexual male. Comedians have joked about it. It was like, hey, Tyler Perry could play any role in the world but a man. You know what I'm saying? So these type of things have made us wonder and think like, yo, fam, like, step out the closet, bro. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, he gets caught in this little situation. And the guy that's involved, he put out the text messages, Tyler Perry and that's talking real spicy to him. So I know I don't believe he'll get $260 million for it. I think he will walk away with something though. But it's just amazing that and supposedly this happened, supposedly, allegedly, because he's seen him out with another male on a cruise or something like that. Or yeah. Could have been jealousy distracted. You know what I'm saying? But it's just interesting nonetheless that we're seeing a lot of successful quote unquote moguls, black ones, men who this year just seems to be the hot year of, hey, he touched me, he forced me to do this, he did this, he did that. And sometimes these images that's attached to the celebrities is like counterproductive towards these accusations, quote unquote. So, like I said, we all had our suspicions about Tyler Perry, his preference, his sexual preferences and whatnot. But it's just funny. But it's also funny nonetheless that, yo, and there's nothing wrong with you, quote unquote, having your preferences, but he was seen on a yacht, quote unquote, with another white male, and then this is a white male who has the allegations against him, and his whole brand is built on like black family, black this. This is what black women go through, and blackity black, and then boom. So it's a great moment for people to be like, oh damn. So I'll let you do your thing.
Man,
Hopefully I ain't go too
this
hard.
is a great moment to let people, hey, you know what? I'm going to let you do your thing. The last movie he just produced, what was that? Last Straw?
I ain't watching.
I ain't watching. I mean, I haven't watched it yet, man. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna watch it, but it was interesting because a lot of people was pointing the finger to him, like, listen, man, all you keep doing is making controversial movies, making black women be depicted as these certain types. And I always tell people, have y'all never ever noticed times that he acts the same roles in every movie? Like, is nobody catching on? Like, why she's able to trigger so many people successfully in the roles she acts all the time? It's her bread and butter, tapping into a certain type of energy at the same time, be able to perform it. Like I said, I haven't watched it, but from what I know, from what I heard, she does a phenomenal job acting. So one of the biggest things that they're saying about this year is this is the SA allegation type of wave going on. That's been going on for quite some time, but it's now hitting 2025 hard, meaning like people now are not looking at just, they're looking to gain benefits through filing these claims, these SA his SA accounts. Now, the funniest thing I seen was Dr. Umar's comment was the fact he said, "Listen, everything was consensual. You just got snow bunny." And I said, "Damn, I thought snow bunny only meant the white women. Now he's saying he got snow bunny by a white man." So it makes me look at the things that Umar will be talking about sometimes. Like, all right, now this is interesting because a lot of people feel like black mongers are under attack, stuff like that, and things that are coming out into the open. Me, I'm looking at it like now, is image really what it is now? Meaning like everything fabricated. We're seeing a lot of exposure. Tyler Perry, I always heard good things. I never heard about anybody talk bad about Tyler Perry, except for the allegations with Monique, the situation that happened with that, and this that just came out. So I'm really much kind of shocked. Like, yo, this is crazy because to see him come out into this type of light and picture of what they're depicting him, I would never thought, never guessed, not in my mind, ever.
Really? Really?
No, no, I'm talking about the accusation. What was the lawsuit? That's what I'm talking about. I'll
Okay.
talk about that part. Everything else, no, not really. But I want to go ahead and put this on the table. There was something that came across my table a couple of weeks ago, and I was doing a lot of study. And this person said, "Listen, what if I told you that a lot of people do consensual acts, but if they feel ashamed of the situation years later, they didn't go back or months later didn't say they got SA." He said, "There's a lot of people that are doing that. Meaning there's people who consensually know that they interacted with this individual for X amount of time. But if this person was making progress or another person sees them in a light, now they're defaming them. And now that's why they're saying, hey, these accusations are now taking place or have took place. But once when they were in that light and in that picture, it was none of that. Everything was consensual. So I do look at those situations where, they say you can take consent back. I don't know if anybody knows that. Like people can take consent back before while you're in the act, before the act, like, people can take consent back. And even after the act is done, now it's getting to a point they can still say it wasn't consensual. So, man, I I don't even want to ramble on too much, but I feel like that type of situation scenario is so open. It's like at any given moment, if you feel a certain way, you could just say, "Hey, this person took advantage of me."
Okay. All right. I said this on the previous episode, and to agree with what you're saying, part of it is like, yeah, that's part of the game. Sex. Well, when we talk about the abuse side, not the assault side, the
Yeah.
abuse side of SA, I'm learning. The abuse side of SA is you can't take the consensual part away and move forward, okay? Because it's not really based on it being proven, right? Because it's what was forced, even though some things were consensual. Now, what I said in the previous episode is, and this is the problem, especially because I said this is somehow happening to a lot of black men. When you're unmarried and wealthy or successful, let's just keep it real. I'm not surprised that Tyler Perry got this going on. Why? Whether you're heterosexual, homosexual, whatever type of sexual preference you want to get into, if you have money and access, 9 times out of 10, you're going to abuse it sexually. Meaning you have options. You're going to take advantage of those options. You have people that work for you. You employ people. Those are going to be your easy pick of the litters. I'm not surprised. It's not surprising. So if a guy owns a burger shop on the corner and he hires a female, 9 times out of 10, he gonna rub up against her a little bit. Yeah, I like the way you put the fries in the grease, girl. Yeah,
Nine
see
times
what
out of 10, bro, that percent is high as shit.
if you want
I
this
got you,
job.
bro. Just my head is like,
Even in an interview, he like, so what you say you good at? You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. The employer is gonna prey on their employees. I'm sorry, man or women. Women do it, men do it. You can't tell me this billionaire guy ain't finna prey on some ass that's working for him and is right there. So miss me with that. That's why I tell people, especially being black males, at least get married if it's fake. That way, at least you got some type of image of, oh, I'm a family man. This is my wife or husband, whatever. Something. This is my structure. Nope. If you out here just free with that, you're gonna slip up. I mean, it's the list goes on how many men have slipped up black as soon as they got that money because the options, the availability, especially if people working for you. So I ain't surprised. Tyler Perry's plays, all his plays in the early days had. I've still never seen a Tyler Perry movie where I've seen a breast of a woman, a ass cheek, nothing. If we want to talk about men, we can see plenty of men oiled up, shirts off. The one with Kelly Rowland with the painting guy, his whole ass was in the movie the whole time. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? You can't tell me the male that produced these movies ain't got agendas going on behind closed doors. You ain't finna fool me. So, and then it's funny because homeboy with the cross tattooed on his chest. He used to be in all the Tyler Perry plays and shit. Bright skinned dude. We got a little cross on his chest. He even did a video that went viral a year ago, and he was speaking on the same thing. He just never name dropped Tyler Perry. So
I know you're talking about.
yeah, that sound like some Diddy shit. He in mid video, he talking to Jesus. He coming back to the video. He like, yo, I kept my masculinity and I ain't do X, Y, Z. Yeah, like I ain't surprised, man. I ain't surprised. You know what I'm saying? So, uh, Tyler Perry, keep your head up. Uh, hold your head.
It's the way you. I'm sorry, brother.
Yeah, hold your head. Hopefully they don't hit you for too much bread. Uh, um, next on the list, got Charlamagne the God. He had a rant to where he criticized the Democratic Party because everybody's going crazy about Trump and how he's maneuvering with the whole Iran and Israel situation as far as deploying bombs on the nuclear sites in Iran. And he did it without congressional approval, quote unquote. And so it's a whole list of presidents coming from Harry Truman all the way down to Trump, who did the exact same thing. Let me see. I even charted a couple of things for y'all. I know how y'all like to do. Y'all want resources. Biden struck Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, Yemen. Obama, Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan, Libya, Syria, Yemen, and Somalia. And what he did with Libya was so bad. That's where Gaddafi got assassinated.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was a guy. So anyway, not to get too caught up on that, because that's another part of the conversation. But I do like the fact that he spoke out on that issue. Like, hey, if we're gonna be politically correct moving forward with our leaders as to what they do specifically as far as like defending the nation, like a lot of those occurrences that I just mentioned, none of those triggered wars. The excuse was we're doing this to stop this. This is preventative measures. Or okay, we're doing this to stop another situation from transpiring. Trump said the same thing. So if it's okay for all these other presidents to do it, then I'm not saying it's like, you know what I'm saying, exactly legal, but keep the same energy. So if we're going to try to move like that, so I like it that Charlamagne put that out there because he's somebody that's heavy left, like heavy. So for him to criticize the left, I think it's only happened like, what, 2 or 3 times that we can actually say, record it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a hot topic for me. You got it.
Man, yeah, I watched the video of Charlamagne actually doing the talk back. I was more shocked than devastated. Well, I won't say devastated. I was just more shocked to see him actually go back and forth and actually give the pushback. You know, one of the people that joined the conversation and the way she was explaining it on her end and the way he was firing back was like, no, none of that happened. He's like, there wasn't no media coverage like it is now. All that didn't happen. Everything was swept under the rug. Like, and if it was, please show me where. I was like, if it's the difference between it being digitally inputted out and you have to search for it versus it's in your face every day. He said that was the thing that he said that's the backlash a lot of people don't want to talk about is a lot of things that Obama, even with Joe Biden, he said, look, nobody really talked about the stuff they were doing. I said, other than that, like he's like, we got to be able to keep the same energy, be able to get the same criticism. So I was shocked. I said, oh, that's growth right there. I was like, I would not thought I'd never see the day him go left or go right or left. But one thing I do notice is depending on what platform he is, he does talk different. So
Sure.
that's one thing I do. I will say like, hey, I peeped that.
Mhm. All right. Last round. So for the people that's against this whole Iran Israel type of thing, so I did a little background research. This whole Iran Israel thing is a biblical issue, right? And biblically speaking, we're going all the way back to Abraham, Isaac, and Ishmael, right? So you have Ishmael, his lineage. These are the Arab nations. Isaac births the 12 tribes of Israel.
Mhm.
Israel gets his land. So now we have this feud with Israel being surrounded by the Arab nations. Iran in particular is, so this is the feud. And supposedly the feud can't be solved until Christ returns. This is the only way. There's going to be peace between the two nations. So these nations have been fighting for years. It's, for even if you don't believe in the Bible, this is the narrative that those people follow that ties them to the war, right? So in 1968 through 1970, Iran they join the NPT, right? So what this does is this says that legally Iran cannot produce nuclear weapons. In exchange, they get foreign help, support, uh, energy resources, et cetera, et cetera. So from 1970 to 2015, they weren't really compliant. Okay, it was still threats of them producing these weapons. So in 2015, I believe, multiple nations come together, including the U.S., and now we're talking about the JCPOA, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully the acronym is correct. But multiple nations come together, and now here we go again. Same thing set in place. Iran cannot produce nuclear weapons, certain types of weapons in exchange for foreign help, support, et cetera, et cetera. In 2016, 2018, I believe, Trump pulls out of the deal. All the other nations stayed in. So this didn't give Iran a leeway to go against the grain. All it did was say that America put their sanctions back on Iran. That's all it meant. America is now saying, okay, we're not going to lift our sanctions on you because you're still going against the grain. That's all he did with that. So that didn't say, hey, go ahead and build your shit anyway. That's not what that meant. So now we have a situation to even where other Arab nations there are saying we don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Because if they get it, we got to get it. This is what people are saying that's there. And then you have the people that's over there celebrating that Trump is doing what he's doing because this can possibly push Iran towards a democracy. So while
Mhm.
people over there are celebrating peace and Iran participating probably in democracy, maybe won't happen, you have people over here doing the complete opposite, all because of the propaganda. But if these people aren't complying to something since the 70s, then we double back in 2015, they're still not complying. He pulls out. So now the only other step is to take some type of action. And then, not to mention, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, uh, even Kamala, my bad. Even she said, if I get elected, my first priority is to stop Iran. Barack Obama, Iran cannot produce a nuclear weapon. We'll stop it at all means. Every president has said the same thing and had the same energy towards the situation. This is not a new thing, which gets me to thinking that I'm in my mid-30s. I just got in politics and studying it. I ain't gonna lie, and I'm thinking like, fuck, all the other people older than me and my age dumb as fuck because what have you been focusing on when it came to politics if you don't know all these things, but you're so emotionally tied to what people are doing? You didn't know that these people signed this shit in 1970 and they still been going against this shit since 1970. You didn't know that they went against it again in 2015. What are you voting for? Like that's what are you reading? Like what's going on here? You just watching the news and whatever the local news tell you, that's how you predict, like that's where your emotions are swaying left and right. So much respect to You know what I'm saying? And so now Trump's nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize for this action and stopping other wars and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So it just makes me think like, yo, like sometimes we'll have another conversation about information and truth and how people just, don't study shit and get emotionally attached to shit. But you can't tell me that this is America's wrong on this playbook. I'm sorry. It just ain't gonna work. So he got them to do a ceasefire within 12 days. And so far successful. I do like the moment where he cursed on camera and was like, "They don't know what the fuck they doing." Yeah, I was like, "Yeah, that's some real nigga shit.
I'm like, yeah.
They don't know what the fuck they doing." Like, that was gangster, bro. I'm sorry. Like,
Hey, man.
you
Thug
called it what
life,
it
man.
was. But yeah. So now you have a ceasefire on a biblical war. I don't think people understand the impact of that. I just said Jesus was the only thing that could stop this, and then he got them to do a ceasefire. And y'all still bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just had to put that out there. Jesus, and then he said, "Yo, ceasefire." And so for now, we got a little bit of peace. So you ready to move on?
Hey man, go keep going, man, keep going. But
Yeah.
I'll make a comment about what he said over there, what's happening in Iran with the war.
Uh,
There are people over there trying to say like they were under a dictator regime. So the war itself or what was going on can bring a possible change. Yes, there are actual videos, multiple. So yeah.
man, I'm learning. I'm getting better. That wasn't even me going hard, y'all. I kept it light on that. I'll say that for another conversation. All right,
All right.
Mexican OT drops the N bomb. So now this opens the door for, should other races, Mexicans, quote unquote, I hate saying that, Hispanics, whomever, be able to say the N word. Um, so Mexican OT was on an interview with Angela Yee's podcast, and uh, pretty much he was saying like, look, I grew up around black people. I, I have I have a past to say that. I felt like I belong to the culture and whatnot. And being in Texas, Houston in particular, I mean, like, I never really grew up around Hispanics. Unless it was my Hispanic side of the family, I didn't really cross like a big like population of Hispanic people until like I got older. I started working, especially when I relocated and moved, and I started realizing, yo, they say nigga more than me. Like, so I was kind of like, that was like a moment of shock. Like, dang. I mean, it got so bad. So one of the homies was like, bro, like, let me holler at you. I'm like, what's up? He like, bro, like, you good? Like, I noticed you don't say nigga like that. I'm like, I'm like, um, okay. You know what I'm saying? So it was like weird at first, and then eventually it was like, okay. But older black men that was in the same environment, they come from a different era, even in Houston, to where they like, nah, that's no fly zone. That's don't let me hear you say that. If you say that, we're gonna have a problem. You know what I'm saying? So it can be like acceptable based on age gaps, particularly maybe. Um, Interesting conversation nonetheless. But I will say this, just like we said, like with Charlemagne, how he's pro left, but sometimes he swing right. I do feel like sometime in life you have to kind of like not, well, yeah, pick a side. We had these kind of conversations all the time. Mexican OT said something deep. He said, look, to be honest with you, I'm Mexican, but I came from a different ship. My ship went here, your ship went there. True. So I'm like, moving forward, if Hispanics say nigger, or anybody says nigger that's melanated, or of the African diaspora, and you have enough knowledge to know that your ship just went somewhere else, do you then kind of denounce your Mexican heritage and just say, hey, I'm African, and then kind of pay a little homage to the Mexican side? Or do you say I'm 100% Mexican, but I can play with the nigger word? That's where I get curious. Like, what's the rules here? Because it's like black people don't use necessarily other people's slang and terminology to that degree. Maybe because it's not as influential. Maybe that's perhaps the reason. I don't know, but we don't particularly like cross that line with other races, but other races that are of melanin descent cross that line with us. So let's have a conversation, man. How you feel about it, man?
All right, y'all. I've always told everybody I grew up in the black and brown community ever since I was a child, man. A lot of black, it was a lot of, how you say that, Black Panther and a lot of brown pride around my nature. There was a lot of unity. I mean, like I said, unity. If you listen, you from south side of Houston, South Houston, Pasadena, all the way, I can go, I can go everywhere I can go with that. LaPorte, man, there was always a cross between black whites, and especially Hispanics and Mexicans, whatever you want to call it. But like I said, I grew up in an area that was a lot of unity in between. Now, in doing so, one of the things I did notice was like the N word was never used around me, especially like during those times of my youth and everything like that. I remember the first time I thought somebody said nigga, they said negro. Negro is black. That's literally color. But that was like a close thing to be like, yo, did he just call me nigga? No, 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 no. He said negro. Negro is black in Spanish. Nigga. Oh, okay. So you know what I'm saying? So just the smallest things like that let me know there wasn't no lines being crossed. But I always noticed, like as I got older, depending on like the music and what you vibe with, I said the word nigga itself is gonna always going through the airwaves constantly. So eventually, one of the funniest moments in White Chicks was like, well, can we say it when nobody's around? And it's like, yeah, nobody's around. So what they do, they said the N
Let it
word.
fly.
But I always said if somebody's already saying it in private, eventually they're gonna say it in public because you're gonna grow used to it. I remember watching a whole like town of white people say the N word. He was like, nah, man, like we cool with the culture, you know what I'm saying? And they try to base it on the fact that they listen to hip hop. So what they say, hip hop is your teacher. So that was one of that's when you hear something constantly over it, they always try to connect it to the airways or any type of frequency. It's gonna be what you hear most. I did a thing with X. I said, X, do you feel like you heard the N word more in movies or more on the radio? He's like, radio. All right, did you hear the N word more on the radio or did you hear it more in TV series? The radio. I was like, y'all gotta understand how music has always amplified everything. Y'all gotta understand music also sets a tone for certain themes within the movies, within series. They try to pick, have certain songs come out. I remember, not to be a long rant, but yeah. So younger days, never heard it. As I was getting older, started to hear it, but as I got older, I also noticed there was a division between blacks and Mexicans, depending on what area you grew up in, what high school you went to, what middle school you went to, because they always say as you get older, you start becoming more race loyal. But if you always stayed an individual that was like cool with the blacks and whites, I mean, with blacks and whites or blacks and Mexicans, you always was able to just adapt and be able to fit right in. But certain lines would never cross. But I said, over a period of time, it gets crossed. Some people get checked. Some people never get checked. And some people also shoot fights and riots and broke out. I'll never forget one of the craziest moments that happened at my high school was hearing what was occurring and the fact that they chose a side based on race was like, hey, listen, I'd rather us blacks not fight each other, so I'd rather just fight a Mexican. And I'd be like, bro, but that's how wars and battles get started. So now you got them saying the nigga word, where some of them was saying it like on a cool basis, but then they're really saying the N word on a basis like calling us niggers. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like there's too loose for anybody to say, honestly. Everybody wants to say there's a difference between nigga and nigger. I remember a white chick one time said nigga. I said, hold on, shorty, what you say? She said nigga, Nikka. I said, shorty, did you really just try to make up a different slang? I mean, a different way like, a different, you know what I'm saying? She's trying to cover her tracks, bro. She's
I
trying
didn't
to
break the
cover her tracks.
rules. I spelled it
Yeah,
different.
that's what I'm saying. Spelled the difference, still pronounced the same, bro. I was just like, this is crazy.
This is interesting, man, because all right. you know, the little white chick where she do the little thing and then she, you know, do the little. She went viral as fuck. Now she getting paid for doing shows, and it's like, okay, this white girl doing like this little black dance, and
I'm about to
it's
see that be
paying.
twerking.
Nah, she ain't twerking. She just do like the same little dance where she, no, she's not no backside. It's all front, and she
I'm about
just
to see it.
winding her hips. No, bro, she's not a singer. She's just somebody that just went viral, and now she's like a hot topic. I can't think of her name.
Are you talking about the girl that be doing the little country dance?
Right,
Okay, nah,
right.
I know
Yeah.
what you're talking
So it's just weird that you know black people see that and they hype it up, they support it, and then they like bet. You know what I'm saying? Like you can come to the cookouts now. You know what I'm saying? Like
about.
damn near
That's
one of us.
invitation. You gotta
I
come
think
to
she
the
got a
cookout.
black dude. You know, it's just weird because we're like that. You know what I'm saying? But it's a lot of other groups that's I don't think other groups are that nice. Okay, Beyonce can't even win a country award without country. Now they want to create a new genre to where it's like, okay, traditional country award versus modern country, and it's like, huh? Like you just changed the whole category, pretty much saying that you don't want black people to like country
Be
music
included.
is not our thing. And see, this is so weird because I say black people are too nice, but sometimes they're too dumb. Okay, so if we really the concept of a cowboy, you know what I'm saying? When you were told to go get the cow, you were a male slave. You were called boy. Go get the cowboy, cowboy. So the culture of a cowboy literally came from black men being enslaved, getting the cows and working with the cows. The culture attached to the image of Western cowboy badass shooting guns, Bass Reeves. So black people can really take over that identity with the facts and the information. They don't know the information. You let these white people trick you into thinking that that's their shit. That's country shit is their shit. They weren't working with the cows and doing all that work and doing all that. And that's not their identity, but they took it from you. So now you're borrowing it back. Like if a black person go do a country song, it's like, look at that black person trying to do country music. Fam, we created country music. We created the country identity. You wouldn't have a cowboy if it wasn't for black people. I'm not borrowing something. I'm not stepping into your culture. You stole it from me. So now you have the shift. It's like, okay, well, some black people are more territorial over things because they step into the knowledge and they like, I know that's my shit. You know what I'm saying? And you could talk about something like pop and the rock and all that shit. Black people started that. It's not a genre of music really that black people didn't create. Some people get so technical they go into like the the DNA of Beethoven, and they say, "Yo, he had black DNA in him. He was black." Like this shit goes deep. Like it really goes deep. So, like I say, black people are a very nice culture of people. Even the things we find out that really we created, we still don't trip when other people still take the credit for it. We don't trip. We really don't have boundaries on our shit. Like if you cool and you seem respectful, we let you do it. No problem. But it's not the same. You know what I'm saying? The other way around. It's literally not. Um, but anyway, a little personal thing. Um, so going back to the whole like when Mexican OT said different ship and all that before the ships, before slavery, said in the previous podcast, Mexico quote unquote was called Mesoamerica. You didn't come up with the term Mexico until General Cortez. Spaniards were white originally, so Spanish people were white, European. They went to what we call Mexico, put down the murder gang. Then he named the capital of Mexico, Mexico City. So now we're talking about Mexico. And then in the same region, you had black president. uh, President Guerrero. So all throughout these time periods, you had a heavy population of dark skinned, quote unquote, black people that you would consider Mexicans. So the whole identity of a Mexican being a certain complexion and speaking this language that's derived from a mixed culture, because it comes from part of the mix comes from Europe, blended with the original people that inhabited the land of Mexico. So before we even talk about slave ships, we have to get into who were the tribes of the people that walked those lands, North America, South America. They all came from Africa, right?
Mm.
If you want to say they came from Asia, those people came from Africa too. So when we had these kind of conversations, and Fat Joe actually said this recently, and he called a lot of flack for it. He said, "Yo, all this Mexican music, like the original shit and all that, that's black shit." Uh, Santana, famous guitarist,
Mm.
said the same thing. All this music comes from African culture. It's the same thing. It comes from the same people. So it just, like I said, it makes me wonder, like, will we ever get to a space and time where the quote unquote Hispanics that want to say nigga, will those same Hispanics come to the same openness and say, look, I'm Hispanic, I got pride in that. I'm Mexican, I'm Latino, whatever. But moving forward, I know my history, so I'm also African. That's you got it.
Nah, I mean, hey, I ain't gonna lie. So you want them to announce
Everybody
the
want to be black
bloodline to Africa?
till it's time to say you black.
Yeah,
That's
that's
all I'm saying.
what I'm about to say. Hey, that's exactly what you said. Hey, everybody black until it's time to say you black. Well, we already know what in America alone there's benefits of claiming when you're black and when it's not. So that's why they always say like, Mexicans tend to mark what? White when they apply for jobs or white on the ballot. Some of them consider themselves white because it's not close. They don't want to be considered Mexican, nor they want to be considered black. So I remember doing a little bit of studies on that. Even how some Mexicans look at being white is still one of the highest signs of purity, just like they do in a lot of different races. Uh, Light-skinned black women, you got light-skinned Hispanics that tend to look white. That some people are like, oh, I thought you were white. They're like, no, I'm Mexican. Like I know a couple of Mexicans that look white, but they even let me know, like, hey, listen, if there's a chance to be passed off as white, I might take that advantage. they and then listen. Everybody plays the side that they feel like is going to be beneficial for them. So this is why I said, hey, listen, being taught that being closer to white is one of the beneficial things. People will often say, like, you see a high yellow a black woman, you already assume she's mixed, or you can already just assume she's white, just depending
Mhm.
on where she's at and what she want and how she perceives herself.
Mhm.
Like the colorism is very much real in every race. Even I just seen dark Indians.
Mhm.
What I'm talking about from across the seas. They get backlash of being called a nigga technically in their own language because they're so dark skinned. But I'm like, bro, so this lets you know colorism is a played out thing throughout the world. It's not just a light skinned black thing. It's within Mexico. I done seen it in every culture, even Asians. But y'all think there ain't no dark skinned Asians? Y'all tripped out. They're the ones who really got the nappy hair and froze at the same time. I done met a couple of them. I remember an older lady, I forgot her name, Grandma something. We used to call her Grandma something. I used to always just think she was a black woman. She was, because she was like, no, I'm Asian. She was like, but my roots are definitely black. She was like, you can tell, you can see it. Like, I just always thought she was black, but she was like, I'm Asian. So it goes a lot with everything that X is saying. Like, are you gonna claim the culture along with it, or are you just gonna take what you believe is yours? I mean, use what you believe you can use when the time permits itself. One of the things that I would say country music has done, just X just put on the table, I'll talk about it too, is for many years people has talked about, hey, listen, we need to stop being accepted. You do hip hop, you do rap, cool. You can't win awards here. Country music literally has told you, cool, you can do country music. You can't win awards here. But I mean, I just want y'all to understand, like, where,
But Eminem top 5.
but hey, there it goes. A lot of people have said it's up, with the hip hop industry, rap industry, like Eminem can participate, but he cannot be rewarded. And this is when I say, when X put it on the table, that country music is now saying, listen, you can participate, but you're not gonna be rewarded. That sounds that says a lot. They're willing to pick the size of you participating. Yeah, you can perform. Yeah, we'll make music with you, but win something? Mm, nah. This is like basically you can have a participation trophy, but you can't actually win an actual position. That's what it is.
God damn it. Look, in California, because look, we speaking from Houston perspective. Personally, my just alone in one sense of me being quote unquote mixed, my uh mother's mother, my great grandmother on my mom's side, Hispanic, quote unquote, and white. So I got different ties to quote unquote. But when you look at me, you see nigga, you see black. All right. So this is why I say the narrative of race is trash. Because when we study history, who came from where, what lineages, what tribes, we link it back to a specific landmass. There's even studies coming out that the the lighter complexion of a European only was like 3,000 years old. We're constantly digging and finding out new information. So anyway, moving forward, in California, we got the big push, the LA riots going on with the whole ICE thing with the Hispanics. And one of the biggest conversations is why don't the blacks participate with the riots? And California is the complete opposite of how we are in Houston
Now
with
I'm about to
Hispanics.
say there's a different alliance.
Over there, they hate blacks for the most
They
part. You're my thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, um, yo, once again, if you want to be an oppressed group and you want the black group to participate with your oppression, then you have to leverage out the relationship, right? Look, I'm all for uh we're talking about race. I don't believe in race, but just to make the conversation relevant, I'm all for Hispanics. But Hispanics have to be all for blacks if that's how we want to move forward. If you want us to ride with you and all that shit, cool. But it has to be rules of engagement. Like when we go when I go to a place of employment and I see most likely a Hispanic manager or somebody that's involved in the hiring process, it's not impactful to me or surprising that majority of the staff is Hispanic. They're going to hire their own. That's how they operate.
I
They're
know.
they're the most. You have different groups. I ain't gonna just single them out, but every other group says mentally, my people first. I don't hate everybody, but I love my people so much. I'm gonna hire them first. I'm gonna look out for them first. If I get a job, the whole staff gonna be us. Blacks are the only group that don't think like that. We actually hire people based on work ethic or, or some other shit or jealousy or whatever or some personal shit. We're the only group that don't say, yep, who's ever black, bring them. And then some black people are so clever that be like, yeah, but you have black people and you got niggas, and I don't want to hire niggas because you know how they work ethic is. But if a black person got the correct resume, I hire them. That's cute. That's cool. But just going back to the basis of the conversation, um, if you want black people to ride with you as an oppressed group and we coming together and all that shit, can you hire some black people? Like I ain't say hire the niggas that's gonna show up late and fuck shit up, and because we probably wouldn't hire them either. I'm just keeping G. But can you just lighten up a little bit on your pride in your group and like show some love to us too, and then maybe that'll create that bond. Like in the gang culture, you got certain Mexican gangs in certain states that ride with the black gangs, and then in some states and cities it's the complete opposite. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going to build this connection and a bridge between these groups of people, because somebody told us that we're different, even though we know we're not, can we come together economically? Can we employ each other? You know what I'm saying? We reproduce together like a month. That's easy. It's easy for us to have babies together. But outside of that, economically, can we come together? And then when we riot, then you will see the unity. So when melanated people from different walks of life come together and they transcend this word called race, now we got a different conversation on the table. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to put that out there. Like, and you said something powerful. The Asians, quote unquote, that's darker hue, and I got my beef on how they even put Asia in this category on where it breaks and where it borders. I'm one of the
Mm-hmm.
people that feel like the Middle East should be considered Africa because of where it sits. It doesn't disconnect from Egypt. It only splits from the Red Sea, which is in the middle, but from the top of Egypt, it literally connects to quote unquote Asia. And then they would consider that uh, ancient Babylon or Persian. And then, so I think Asia should split along Iran. But growing up, sometimes I've seen maps to where that was the split. But it's very important for them to attach the Middle East to Asia and not Africa. And that's another conversation. But like I said, I would just like to see melanated people from different walks of life unify economically. So you got it.
Man, unify, unity, come together, whatever we want to use. They always say there's always got to be a bottom line with making unity. Most people don't know how to form a bottom line. This is why I'm always been big on principles, morals, codes, ethics. It's easy when you can identify somebody with codes and morals. I'm telling you, men can peep it in another man quick as hell. This is why one of the best things you could ever do when we all talk about getting relationships is put the right man in front of the man you date. I bet he can peep everything he needs to peep. You only can bullshit people who have not been exposed to the real, as they say. And one of the main things men always say, like, never trust a man who has never failed. Men who have always made progress and never failed, times of adversity, they never bounce back. They're so used to being successful, always taught, hey, you're doing everything fine. The pushback is it's gonna happen. I'm going through my own trials and tribulations and still pushing forward all the time. But I got many stories to tell you how I failed. So now, when it comes to, like you said, you talk about unity and unions. One of the things is what's gonna make something more impactful is to actually have not do something that's based on tribalism. That's something that's very big. You have to base everything around the union of everybody's needs, meaning everybody has to figure out what are the main things that disconnects us and what things that align us, and then find out where you're disconnected in the area, and then find out how do we come together to make a connection line. Everybody has the benefits of being black. Everybody has the benefits of being Mexican. Everybody has the benefits of being anything. But if you're going to ever create that union across a pathway, then it has to be something within a common goal, like I said, common goal, common needs, common anything, in order to establish, like, it's not even about the race. That's why I'm not gonna lie. This is why religion is so powerful. Religion has told you no matter what color you are, what race you are, what nationality you are, as long as you're a Christian, as long as you're Islamic, that's all that matters. So when you're creating the union that I'm thinking you're looking to establish is sometimes you got to be able to create this same impactfulness uh, that nothing else matters but the common objective, and that's the thing. And I think that's going to be the way to get anything done.
Man, my last point for it. I ain't, no cap this time. I normally lie when I say that. If we really want to get into the religious part of the conversation, follow the fucking religion. Because if you want to say, oh, by religious context, we're all the same if we follow the same religion, actually mean that shit. Because now you have, like you say, you brought up colorism. And then the colorism comes based on, it's not a new thing, it comes based on us being colonized. And the colonizers set up a system of colorism. That was to
Mm-hmm.
separate who's really mixed between the colonizers and the indigenous people of whoever got colonized, whether it was Mexico, North America, wherever. So now we're gonna set up these class systems from skin tones and who's the new breeds, who was here first, who came from the mixing and all this shit. And we still do this to this day. So if we're gonna say, look, black people are Christians and black people just are so open with Christianity and we follow and race don't matter to us, cool. But when you go to the white churches, they don't have black Jesus on the wall. Jesus is white in our church and their church. And then we don't even put a black Jesus up on our church. So if we really mean what we say and we all belong in the same religion and the same God and race don't matter, can we get a picture of black gods and black Jesus in the church? That's just my question. Even for the black churches don't even put it up.
Hmm.
But we all the same through religion, but race don't matter. But you don't put the picture of the black God up. You're lying.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're gonna push even that narrative, let's keep it real. When you go into every other religious Christian Catholic church, Jesus is white. Sometimes he look a little Hispanic sometimes in the Catholic churches. Like they kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like dude be switching sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But I've never really seen even a brown skinned Jesus in the church. Not even brown skin. He can't even be brown, even though the Bible said he has certain descriptions and depictions. But that's just that religion. So if we even gonna follow that narrative with the religions, like I said, let's be more fair to every person, melanated, non-melanated. If we really want to preach this unity shit, I promise you, you in America, you won't go to a white church and they got a black Jesus on the wall. That's Christian. I don't care how much they allow black people to come into the church and we love everybody and we got mixed families and all that shit. That's at the lowest level of unity. Unity exists in levels, just like colorism. Stop
Mm-hmm. Talk to
selling
him,
as
man.
black
That's
people,
deep
stop
right there.
selling for the lowest level of everything, but allow everybody to come into your shit and take everything. Stop
Mm-hmm.
selling. We go to war with each other. You know what I'm saying? At all by any means necessary. We kill each other in a heartbeat. Stop doing that with us and then allowing everybody else to do. When you go to these white churches, they're so happy to have everybody and it's peaceful and it's just so much love and it's mixed families. They ain't got no black Jesus up there. And that's by design. That's saying like we love each other and we unify, but only to a certain extent. That's what that says. So it's a reason why when you watch the Spike Lee movies, and I'm not saying I'm a fan of him, how he thinks and moves on every level, but it's a reason why he makes it a point to do the opposite. Black Jesus on the wall. It's a reason. You're letting the people know that identify with that race that you're powerful too. You have impact as well. It's not just the lighter tone groups that got the power to connect with that deity. You know what I'm saying? It's a reason why when you go world over, you leave America, you still have black deities. You still have statues of black deities. And then in some places, they just say, fuck it, we're going to get rid of this shit because we're going to hide it. But when you actually travel and you start to go to these different countries and shit, they still have the black deities there. Do they get the exposure? No. But that's up to us to say, hey, look, that's us. We must be special too. So, needless to say, like I said, we brought up Iran and Israel. They're fighting over a biblical identity, right? And let's be honest, the people on the forefront of that battle, I don't think none of them dark skinned, but we're talking about a biblical war. I'll shut up, man. I'll shut up, man. I don't do this. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'll shut up. You ready? You ready to go? You ready to go? I'll shut up. I'll be nice.
Yeah, there we go.
I'll be nice. I'm learning. I love
I mean,
everybody.
yeah, I mean, no, I remember one of the sayings I grew up with. They said, if you want to ever find everybody, uh, all aspects of life in one place, it's only church. They said, no, that's the only place. They said the only place you'll see them all is in church.
I'm done.
As soon as you leave church,
Fuck
everybody go
you.
back where they go to.
Yeah.
He said, but while you're in church, everybody's interacting with everybody. They're all living under the same doctrine. But then, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I don't even want to go too much on that, but he said that's a big point. He said the only time you see everybody across the world unified is in church. And outside of that, maybe war.
Man, there's so much on this, but I'll be good. I'll be nice. I love everybody. If you ain't got nothing else, man, We good?
I'm good,
All
man. I'm good.
right. All right. Thank you for rocking with us, y'all. Got a little hot. We learning, we getting better, we improving. We'll save other conversations for the other topics and whatnot. Up top, we got No Ordinary Brother. I go by the name of King Exodus. Talking and Talk official podcast. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you follow the IG. Subscribe to the YouTube. There's more content available. And
Mm-hmm.
hey, we out.
Yeah.